Baghdad has once again blamed Riyadh for a rise in bloodshed and terrorist attacks in Iraq, accusing the Saudi kingdom of promoting genocide.
We hold them responsible for supporting these groups financially and morally, and for the outcome of that, which includes crimes that may qualify as genocide. The spilling of Iraqi blood, the destruction of Iraqi state institutions and historic and religious sites.
Well, in a statement, the Iraqi cabinet has said Saudi Arabia is supporting and financing the ISIL Takfiri militants. On Monday, Riyadh rejected Baghdad's accusations of supporting the ISIL militants and blamed Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki for what it called pursuing sectarian policies. Marcus Papadopoulos, publisher and editor with First Politics, is with us now live from London. Welcome to the programme, Mr. Papadopoulos. Now, first of all, tell us if you also agree that there are external factors having a role in what's happening in Iraq.
I certainly do. When the Iraqi government accuses Saudi Arabia of playing a role in the current crisis in Iraq, it is 100% correct. As does when the Syrian government accuses Saudi Arabia of playing a role in the Syrian conflict. The Syrian government is 100% correct. What we have to remember is that Saudi Arabia is a very dangerous country, not just in the region, in the world. It is the leading exporter of religious extremism to the world and to the region, and it is also the leading exporter of religious terrorism to the region and to the world. Let's not forget what's happening in Iraq hasn't just started occurring in the last week. It's been ongoing for at least a couple of years now, but Western media has chosen to ignore it for political reasons. And when we have a look at the terrible conflict in Syria, we see that the hand of Saudi Arabia is at play. Who has been facilitating logistically the arrival in Syria of ISIS fighters? Who has been facilitating weapons to the ISIS fighters in Syria? And that is Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is also playing a role in Iraq. It's seeking to expand its influence in Iraq and in Syria. It wants to be the overwhelming dominant power in the Middle East, and that is totally unacceptable.
Right, well, Maliki is saying that what this is all about is creating sectarian clashes and tensions in his country that originally did not and do not exist in his country, he says. At the same time, Saudi Arabia is hitting back and saying that Maliki is in fact pursuing, quote, sectarian policies. So which side is playing the sectarian card?
Well, I think we have to be honest. There's a lot of governments in the Middle East, as indeed in the rest of the world, but if we focus on the Middle East, there's a lot of governments. They're not the most effective governments, and they really should be doing a lot more for their people. And of course, certainly Maliki in Iraq hasn't been the most effective leader. He hasn't been the most balanced leader. However, that does not justify foreign intervention. Iraq is an independent, sovereign country, and Saudi Arabia needs to learn to respect independence and respect sovereignty. But it's not doing that. It's not doing that in Syria, and Saudi Arabia has a lot of blood on its hands in Syria, and I do fear for Iraq because Saudi Arabia is not going to back off. And also, we need to take into account America's role in this, because Saudi Arabia is an extremely close strategic ally and friend to the United States. And so Saudi Arabia wouldn't be exercising its malignant influence in the Middle East if it didn't have the backing of the United States of America.